Hey there, folks. How are you? Hope you're all doing great today. I'm doing fine. No one really asked, but that's what it's like when you're making videos and essentially talking to yourself all day. But we're in the midst of the most fun Doom Tower rotation, the one with all the most fun bosses to cheese, the Scarab, the Bommel, that's probably about it. The others are just kind of pretty standard, but the most fun bosses to cheese. So, a while ago, I showed you my favorite Abommel plus Geomancer strategy. And today, I'd like to just bring it around and show you my favorite Scarab cheese strat that I did for the longest time before. Geez, I was gonna say before I got a real team, but I never really did get a real team. I just kind of switched to the Taragi solo cheese strat instead. So yeah, I'm just hopping around from cheese to cheese here. But yeah, so this was a fun one for me. It is Geomancer and a bunch of healers. Pretty similar to the to the Bommel strat. This might even be like the identical team I used on that. I don't even recall. But yeah, basically the goal is, so the dude, you do like no damage to him unless you can break through the shield, basically, right? Which is like, you do by reducing max HP or something that no one who fights this boss actually ever uses. Like, we're always using poison or something to cut through it instead. So in this case, yeah, we're obviously just using the Geomancer passive. And then I've got a few other tricks up my sleeve. I have Ox the Remember, the most fun champ in the entire game, whose passive is when attacked, he will increase the duration of 2 random debuffs on the enemy. So basically, the strategy is we make him perma attack us, and then he has perma debuff, and he's also slowly ending his own life because of the Geomancer passive. And then I have the third and final trick up my sleeve, which is Ugo with the block buffs, because this dude, he's thought about it all, right? He knows you're going to try to pull off some shenanigan arenas like this. So he does have that ability where he will try to steal all of your buffs. So he will do that. So basically the strategy is we put the black buffs on him, which is being perma increased by Ox, the most fun and cutest champ ever. And then, yeah, then he can never steal our buffs. He's slowly ending his own life with the Mancer passive. And we're just healing and surviving. It's definitely, it's a bit on the slow side, but if you're someone who just needs to beat the boss, like, you don't really care. So definitely works from that perspective. All right. Oh, nice. It was just running in the background. Okay. So obviously, start of any Doom Tower boss fight is the waves. So here we are. Pretty standard stuff. A bunch of non-threatening cupids, non-threatening raisin, scarehood, or whatever that dude's name is. Just kidding, of course. Can't wait to get 20 comments correcting me, even though it's a joke. And Farrakhan. So yeah, unfortunately, yeah, waves are slow because you do have Geomancer and 4 healers. So this is definitely not your ideal farming team. You probably don't want to hop into arena with this one, but we'll get there eventually. So yeah, let's just kind of skip through that. Took us a minute. This one is a little less fun because you do have 3 duchesses, but again, this isn't like a duchess in some Kraken's account. It's just in a Doom Tower fight, so they are fairly non-tanky, fairly non-threatening, and you can actually like kind of control them quite easily with the Geomancer. So I would probably, if you're just trying to beat this for the first time, I would say maybe keep an eye on this, manual it, target the duchesses. Like you can see, I've almost killed one with Geomancer passive here, so I'm just going to the next one, and then I'll go to the next one, and we'll just systematically get rid of all the duchesses, and then take out these couple of damage dealers here. So yeah, can definitely control them pretty easily like that. Not as big of a deal as you might imagine. But again, also not the most fun to just sit here doing it. Um, and then, you know, again, if you really just want to make sure you beat the fight, that's your focus. I would, you know, kind of like Bommel and other hard bosses, I would start manualing your team toward the end of the wave here. So we'll kind of fast forward. We're whittling it down. Yeah, so we're already at 3 minutes here, so this is like the end of the fight. So yeah, I would just say, you know, kind of manual this, use A1s just to make sure you have all of your abilities going into the fight, because you want to have the Geo Quicksand Grasp, the HP burn, you want to have the black buffs, you want to have block debuffs, you just, yeah, you want all these things right away, so try to make sure you have them. I think there was a point where like all my champs were so decent that I was just kind of autoing it anyway, but like, yeah, if you're in here and it's sketchy, definitely no shame in just, you know, manualing this part of the fight if you need to. Always go ahead and do that just to, you know, reach your goal of beating the fight. I think my champions have become maybe like slightly out of whack just as the years have gone by and people's builds have changed. Like, I think Pythian used to be by far like the fastest champ on my team, but I ended up moving him to a slower stone skin build, so he no longer is. So it's slightly out of whack. Years might be a little bit nicer, but yeah. And then, yeah, we have a lot of damage reduction, you know, Perfect Veil. If we revive, we can have Strengthen, lots of stuff. So, yeah, like I said, we want to get the black buffs on there. Decreased defense is whatever, because you're not really doing any of that kind of damage. And then look at all this cool stuff we have on him, right? We've got Decreased Defense, Black Buffs, that's from Ugo. We've got HP Burn, Weakened, that's from Geo. That's our main goal here, is just the HP Burn. Need to keep that applied so that he's constantly damaging himself with the Reflect, basically. We can decrease attack from Ox, that's also nice. Decrease crit damage from Ox. I'm sure it helped out at some point. And then basically from here, we just keep attacking. And he always counterattacks if he doesn't have a shield, so he's constantly damaging himself. Essentially, he can't steal any buffs because we have the black buffs. He's constantly getting the durations increased because of Ox's passive, so it's just perma everything, basically. If you can get a decreased accuracy on there with Geo, that's also super nice, because then he might not even remove your buffs at all. And then, yeah, just keep healing and and burning, I guess, which is the strategy for more bosses than I realize, I guess, in retrospect. Yeah, that works on quite a few. Another Spider works on Bommel, works on this fight, so just heal and survive, I guess. And burn, sorry, heal and burn. And then again, like, there's a million healers in the game. There's cleansers, revivers. I don't think you have to have these in particular. I think Ox is super important because look at the perma debuffs. We have 17 turns of black buffs. We have 14 turns of decreased attack. We have 9 turns of HP burn. So that is super important. Geo, obviously, if you want to use the Geomancer strategy, you do have to have the Geomancer. So that's just common sense there. Do have to have the Geomancer. It does get a little sketchy at one point, I'm not gonna lie. Just because, like I said, my builds have changed. I think I have both of these in, like, resistance spanners. Like, I could have given them more HP or something. They're definitely not ideal for what I'm doing, I guess. But as you can see, still worked. No problem. This was the first try I did. You know, it didn't fail like a million times. This was just the first try. Everything good. But yeah, million healers in the game. I think Ugo is good. Rector's always good. Obviously, Pythian's good. The thing is, this is actually... So there's 2 versions of the Scarab because he's in multiple rotations. There is a red version of him, Force Affinity, and there is the green Spirit Affinity. So if you look at my team, this is actually the worst. This is the bad affinity for this team, because literally 4 of us are weak to him. So he's actually doing like much more damage than he should be to all of us, and it still works. So yeah, obviously this is this would have been smoother on the other affinity, so even stronger there, I guess. And yeah, I guess there's probably no need to sit here talking through the entire fight. I was just explaining, you know, obviously if you really want to do this, pick whatever healers you want to support your Geo. I put him in the lead, HP, speed lead, lots of good buffs. You would probably want to have resistance on one or two of these people, like just because if all of your healers and cleansers get provoked, you know, you're in a bind there. So think about that. And yeah, it just kind of goes on until he is gone. So okay. Obviously, like all of the damage from Geo burning through that shield, and then everybody else is just insane mega heals, basically. Rectordrath, always the star with the 1.8 million heals. Pythion, 1 million. Ox, 921,000. Pretty close to Pythion. So, yeah, good champ. Like him a lot. As always, we can take a look at some builds if you want to reenact my terrible builds for for whatever reasons you may have. So let's see what we got. Like I said, you could optimize your builds to the fight. Like I think I was maybe like a little kind of low on HP on some of those champions. And also Ox, I haven't even looked at his build in like 3 years, so there's also that. But yeah, it's just one of my, you know, classic silly, non-serious teams. Let's just start with the Geo. I have two, one's in Clan Boss, so this is just standard Geo. I use him in Iron Twins. You know, have enough accuracy to do this fight. And then that's where all of his damage is coming from, so just speed, staying alive are your concerns here. I'm just in like the full perception build. A lot of people liked Reflex for him, Relentless, you know, back in the Hydra, the days of him dominating Hydra, so whatever you got. It is, it's a Geomancer. What are you gonna do? Next up, Pythion. Again, it's just a healer, a support, a cleanser. Standard kind of supporty build. I'm experimenting with Stone Skin at the moment. It's it's not the most amazing build, but you know, it's been working in the game for me for quite some time now, so there you have it. You know, HP, defense, obviously be pretty fast to do the heals and cleansing. And then, like I said, I'm a little bit on the slower end. I think most people would probably have a faster support than that. Next up, one of my favorite epics, or maybe just favorite champions, period, is Rectordrath. Whenever I just need people to stay alive and be healed, like, she's always the first champ that comes to mind for me. I have her in Relentless. You know, it doesn't mean anything. Feel free to, you know, whatever sets work for you. There's a ton of good support sets, protection, stuff of this nature. So there you go. Oops. Supporty, mixed supportington. Like I said, I have not looked at this build in years. I haven't bothered to change it. I will not change it until it stops working. Like, that's my that's my point of action in this game. The second it's no longer working, I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, if it's just some champ that I don't really use a lot, I'm completely fine to have him in the 5-star accuracy, 5-star speed, 5-star perception build. I'm proud of this build. I'm a fan. And then, yeah, like we were talking about, I love this champ. He's so fun. The passive is awesome. Steward of Time increases the duration of 2 random debuffs on the attacker by 1 turn. Occurs once per hit, with virtually no limit. So even though the Scarab might be hitting us like 10 times back to back, it works every time. So great ability. This is also a nice little ability. 50% decreased attack, little bit of turn meter decrease, a little bit of decreased crit rate. So it's kind of just like little bit of everything ability. And then the Lore of Restoration. So yeah, it's just a 10% heal, but you get an extra 2.5% per each debuff on the target. And like, if you're thinking about that fight, he probably had the max of 10 debuffs, or surely did. So this is actually, like, you can see it during the video. This is a good heal. And yeah, he ended up healing almost as much as Pythian, so definitely nothing to scoff at. And he's got possible poison on the A1, so just kind of a little bit of everything epic. He could even give you the accuracy aura if you need it. So yeah, again, just a little bit of everything champ that I used a lot on when my account was newer. And then I think the last one is just Ugo. Again, just, you know, the black buffs is amazing during this fight. I do not want to get my buffs stolen. But yeah, obviously there's other champs that could do that for you. And then I guess, you know, Ugo's kind of a nice little, I'm sorry, I'm so lost in my champions. Oh, they're right there. Ugo's kind of a nice little bit of everything champ too, right? You got black buffs, decreased defense, he's got a little heal and a minor cleanse. He'll remove 1 debuff. So definitely, yeah, just, it's the kind of fight where you just need like a little bit of everything. So he's a good choice. And also placement of the leech, I guess, can not really be super useful during this fight, but other places. And yeah, just kind of standard supporty build. Main place I use this champion would be Hydra. I think I've used him in some Amy's rotations, other Doom Tower fights, etc. Always a solid champ that I think of when I'm kind of just like, oh, I need, you know, I need another healer for this Doom Tower cheese boss fight that I'm doing. Okay, well, geez, I guess that was it. That okay? Alright, you guys, as always, thank you for taking the time. That is my favorite Scarab cheese team that will always have a special place in my heart, even though I do the Taragi strategy quite a bit nowadays, which I also have a video on if you guys are looking for more Scarab cheese. And as always, you guys take care of yourselves, and thank you. Goodbye.